Hello, this is Vinay speaking. I'm presenting the human factors in AI, course assignment, which is a part of AI product management from Duke University. So for this one, I have picked the problem statement as the fraud detection in financial transactions. So financial fraud is one of the major concerns, for the financial institutions and the customers. Detecting and preventing such fraudulent transactions is, kind of critical to maintain the trust by the financial institution. Trust on the financial institutions, by the customers. And the other one, of course, is, we need a security system in place, for our financial systems, that is out there. So it also is, it's a regulatory need of the hour. So this is the problem statement that I have picked. So describing the problem, let me start with the challenge. So I come from India, and we have close to 10, 100 million plus transactions that happen every day. So trying to monitor, or one human, or a set of humans, kind of sitting and trying to monitor it humanly, it's going to be very tough, and it's not humanly possible as well. So just to identify, one or two fraudulent transactions, you know, uh, uh, at scale, just by kind of reviewing 100 million plus transactions, it's humanly impossible, which can never happen. So the problem statement, if I have to kind of more define it, I would say, is to detect and prevent fraudulent activities in the financial transactions by analyzing, the transaction patterns and identifying any anomalies. So that's the thing. So if we don't do this, what's the impact? It could lead to some sort of financial loss. It can give rise to trust issues to the clients. It can, of course, damage the reputation. We might be under regulatory penalties. We might come into the radars of, the central banks. Um, and lastly, of course, the privacy issues will come into the play. And yeah, a lot of things will, happen. So to avoid all these things, I've just tried to figure out the tasks. From the task analysis perspective, I've just tried to come up with some sort of use case, I would say, on generally how the user journey would look like. So we can have a transaction that could get initiated in any of these ways. Like for example, it can be a through a POC system in a stores, for example, or it can happen through the online banking or mobile banking, transaction. Maybe I'm trying to buy something on Amazon online, and I could have initiated the transaction in the net banking or the mobile app. Either ways, I could have gone and tried to do some sort of ATM withdrawals, maybe in a foreign land, which kind of triggered this particular uh, uh, fraudulent activity flag. So basically, the transaction initiation could happen through any of these sources. Ultimately, it will reach the unified banking system, where the centralized system, it will try to analyze the transaction data based on the scenario, and we need to have some sort of a model in place which defines if it's a legit transaction, or if it needs to be flagged as a suspicious activity. So based on the yes or a no, the transaction can get confirmed, or it can go for further investigation. So considering this analysis in place, I have identified that the key task here is to develop a machine learning model that can analyze the real-time transaction data and flag suspicious activity, for further investigation, basically. So the insights from this particular analysis that I was able to pick is, we need the transaction could happen, or it could get initiated from multiple sources, and we should be able to pull all of them together into one centralized standard order to detect any sort of frauds. This should also happen in real time, and this needs to be a high priority system, meaning to say, generally the transaction happens in less than like 4 5 seconds, and we need to be able to integrate this ML system, which kind of sets some sort of you know analysis in real time, and it should be able to reply back in hardly 4 to 5 seconds collectively. So like detecting this in real time is not the only thing. Once we detect, we should be able to kind of communicate that through an alert system as well. So that is another thing. And along with that, we need some sort of ability to kind of clearly explain to the end users why certain transaction was, flagged as a suspicious one, right? So this also needs to happen in real time. So all of these collectively should happen in less than 5 seconds for a real time experience. So from the end user's experience, I would say the user interaction. So we have financial institutions which have, which has kind of integrated the new ML model into their existing transaction monitoring system. So this transaction monitoring system should be real time in nature, where it provides real time alerts on any sort of suspicious activities. So once this real time monitoring system flags certain things, it should also be able to kind of communicate the same clearly through SMS or call or in email, based on like the priority, I would say. So we can also kind of uh, do certain communications to kind of gather users feedback or approval as well, so that the investigation team is kind of further reduced on their investigation loads, the cases that they have to have in their bucket for investigation. So we can gather users approval as well. So, suppose we figured out that it is actually a legit, a legit. I mean, it is not a legit one, and it was a fraudulent one. So we need to have some sort of support system in place on behalf of the financial institution, where the client can reach us out on priority. For taking the high risk issue that was identified to the next steps. So any sort of actions like blocking the card or anything can be done with the help of the support team. So speaking from the AI specific considerations, so here the data of course is coming in from the transaction data, which has resulted in the trigger. So that is the user action or the input, I would say. The feedback loop, where like we have gathered some sort of data, let's say in the communication step before, probably we went ahead and we gathered users approval, right, in real time. So maybe we kind of have some sort of an OTP which is being sent to them, which we are trying to give it back over here, like trying to get that as a feedback for validation. Maybe that kind of feedback, whatever we gathered, to figure out whether it was a legit or not. So maybe we can utilize that for refining our model, I would say. So we can also go ahead and provide some sort of transparency to the end users, trying to say why exactly that the model made certain decisions, and this kind of helps us in building the trust, with the end users. So when we are trying to communicate these uncertainties, I mean uncertainty in the sense, like we can say that like we are, let's say 100% confident that this is a fraudulent activity, or we can say we are suspecting, or we have low confidence, but we are still suspecting that this could be some sort of a fraudulent activity, and we need your review on this. So maybe like based on that, we can define the urgency on how important, or how urgently we require the customer's attention, based on the confidence level, or the confidence score that we have got from the model. Speaking about the privacy consideration, so since we hold the personal and financial data about the customers, we need to ensure we have robust and a great security system in place, which can handle all the confidential data, that is associated with the transactions. So on the other end, we need to ensure that, only authorized persons have access to the required sensitive information, and no one else, has any other access to the data. So also, more on a generic note, we need to have, the regular encryptions that are really required in place for any sort of PII related data. So the privacy laws applicable, it really depends on the area of operation. So since I picked the India region, right, so we have the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, which was introduced in 2023 in place. So that is out there. So we also have, if it's in EU, like we have GDPR. If it's in California, US, we have the CCPA. And if it is a card related one, we have the PCI DSS regulation in place. So other than that, we have the standard rules like, the data encryption, you getting the user consents, the consent, any sort of regular audit, that we do for compliance. So all of these ones, we can kind of consider to be the privacy laws in place. Speaking from the ethical considerations, so we have various sources of bias, I would say, which will have to be addressed. Like, it can be based on historical data that we have used to train the model, where the historical data could be biased in one or the other way. So we need to ensure that there is no bias in the model based on, let's say, the socioeconomic factors, maybe the CIBIL scores or the transaction size, the frequency of transaction, the customer type. So none of these biases need to exist in the model. So we need to ensure, we do some sort of analysis on a timely note to identify such potential biases, in the model and figure out, preventive actions. So maybe a regular review and update to the model through feedback can address all of these ones. So going next to the, ethical practices from the fairness perspective, I would say we need to treat, or the model needs to treat all users equally, regardless of domain, the geographic factors. So I just mentioned the geographic factors due to the real estate, but we have various other ones, that I just mentioned in the left, like CIBIL score, transaction size, frequency. So all of these ones. So the other one is the accountability. We need to ensure that we have a robust monitoring system and audit mechanism in place, so that we feel accountable on all of the adjustments that we need to make to the model. Going next to the transparency, of course, like we can have clear documentation where we communicate to the clients about, the reasons why the model would probably make certain decisions, and, the updates that we keep making on a timely note. So all of these ones, like we can ensure that, we provide clear communication to the end users so that we remain transparent. And that's it from my end about this particular project. Thank you.